On March 17th, 18th, and 19th of the year 2000, a skin art convention was held which awarded the largest cash prize ever given in tattoo competition. Convened at an unlikely spot on Lake Conroe, Texas, just north of Houston, it was the beginning of the end for prejudices against the tattoo as an art form. The following images were recorded that weekend.
It's certainly a different convention from any other conventions I've been so far, really, which is first, of course, the prize money they give out here, which is extremely high, which is nice, I think. And the other thing is like that it's so kind of far away from any civilization almost. No, that's a little too much. But well, it's you know, it's normally they in cities or so, and that was surprising, yeah.
Well, we looked at several locations, and when we came in here, it was just the atmosphere, the peaceful atmosphere, and everybody that's walked through the door has agreed with me. It's a peaceful atmosphere. You can't help but to keep the smile on your face. It's just that kind of place.
The remote location and record cash prizes were not the only unique aspect of the Extreme Tattoo Convention. It is the first convention to award the prize money to the artist and not the bearer of the tattoo.
That's the unique thing about it. We're concentrating on the artist more than the art holder, because it takes a lot to sit there and get it done, but it takes a lot more to put a piece, a masterpiece on that person. Just that it's not so much me putting on a show, it's the artists themselves that show up. They're putting on a show. It's theirs, it's not mine, it's their work.
Another singular distinction to this convention was the makeup of the grand prize judges. The three-judge panel was not made up of only tattoo artists. The tattoo industry itself was represented by the venerable Gil Monte, master tattooist for many decades. But assisting Monte in his decision were world-renowned artists Boris Vallejo and Julie Bell, two conquistadors of fantasy art that have influenced many tattoo patterns. And in Boris' case, his art has been doing so since the 1970s and early 80s.
I remember receiving a photograph of somebody who had done a tattoo. If this was the tattoo artist that did it, and it was a man by the name of Spiderweb that was in the East Coast. And Spiderweb was a very well-known tattoo artist of the 60s and 70s. I don't know whatever happened to him, but he is the first one that sent me a picture of a tattoo that he had done based on one of my pieces. And after that, I really, really enjoyed it so much I started looking at tattoo magazines, and I would look for, you know, every month I would look at different tattoo magazines looking for my work, and I would find 3 or 4 different things from all over the world that were based on my work, so that was really, really nice.
But even with the success he has achieved, the popularity Boris experiences with the tattoo crowd is something he never imagined.
If the question is, did I think when I first started my career that this was going to happen? Absolutely not. My first thought when I started my career was simply to get somewhere with it, whether it was going to influence other people, whether it was in tattooing or in any other realm of art. I wasn't really thinking about that. I just wanted to get somewhere with it.
Our artwork is about expressing it's fantasy, and expressing our feelings in a fantasy kind of a way, and it's sexy and all these things. And the thing is that the tattoo art, the people, the way that they think about their tattoos, I think that the mindset of the tattoo, you know, the people that are into the tattoos is very similar to our mindset with our art. I think it kind of comes down to a need to express something in a really dramatic way, you know, and that's
Sure.
what we do with our art too. We really...
And it's art. It's definitely art.
It's definitely art, and it definitely comes from that same kind of need, you know,
Definitely.
to really make a definite statement that can't be ignored.
Natural talent's just not enough anymore. Like I said, in every industry, that unless you go out and take the proper steps to obtain specialized skills, you know, you're not going to be as marketable as a person that is doing that. You know, hence the the style thing. Every artist seems to have their own style, and people go to that artist for that style. You know, there again, it's the specialty thing. And the more you can do something that's specialized, then the more, you know, you're going to definitely stay busy. When I make my outlines, I'll make an actual line of all the features that matter. Like for that piece, well, there's not a whole lot in there, you know, as far as, I make what little dots for my shading a lot of the time, like around the facial areas and stuff like that. You don't see it here, but like right in here, the collarbone and all these soft areas. See, I just barely brazed the skin there before I lost my dots. When I say dots, it's dots in my stencil. The dots tell me instantly, wash this in, shade it, do not line this. You might want to map out the cheekbone, the side of the nose. These are things that you don't want lines. Under the lip, you know, I don't put a line there. That's actually was dotted in, and it's just a light shade.
Hi, I'm Chastity Ebbole from Mobile, Alabama, and I was fortunate enough to land at Convention de Lago and work in the color bomb booth with artist Hero. And this has been a wonderful convention. We've seen great work from Deano Cook and Tony Olivas, and we've had a blast.
I chose Julie Bell and Boris Vallejo because of their knowledge. I mean, their work's been portrayed so many different ways in the art field, I mean, in the tattooing field, and I asked them questions about it, and they seemed real interested, intrigued about it. They wanted to see their art portrayed more in it, and so it's kind of like a mutual thing. They're interested in us, and we're interested in them, so we're just coming together, and it's working out really well. Everybody's getting along real well, and like I said, they walked in with a smile on their face, and they couldn't believe how friendly the tattoo crowd was. They were a little leery at first, but then, you know, everything came together. They're all smiles.
That was really amazing, because I was talking to Julie, and Julie was mentioning this yesterday when we first came to the convention, is that we have gone to really hundreds probably of conventions throughout the years, all over the place, all over the world. And probably this is the gentlest crowd that we have found.
It's just the nicest group of people. You know, these people
Yes.
are so respectful and
yeah.
nice and just sweet people, really sweet. And it's just, you know, we had never done this before. We had never been to a tattoo convention,
Right.
and we'd never really even talked to that many people this much about tattoos before. So we didn't know what to expect.
And our theory was that it's because they are also artists.
Right. Mhm.
They have
Or-
the sensitiveness of the artist.
Right. So it's all just a bunch of artists, and they all have this feeling for fantasy art, which actually is a different kind of thing, I think, than a lot of traditional art. It brings you into a different realm of imagination, and when you have that kind of energy going around, I think it's just...
Yeah, you have to be a dreamer.
Right,
you know,
that's what it is,
and that's
yeah.
part of the whole thing.
It's fucking smoking, dude. My skin's about ready to peel. It's awesome.
We're all tweaking that.
It's healing as
That's right. That's right. It's peeling right now.
There is one topic that tattoo artists dwell on that artists who work in other mediums do not address, and that is the health of their canvas. Each tattoo is administered with individual sterility. Prevention of cross-contamination is as important to the professional tattooist as is the resulting creation. Aftercare, the proper maintenance of a healing work, is outlined with specific instructions that all too often are not followed. Many artists were dismayed by the number of these instructions littering their parking lots each night. But like countless artisans before them, they have no control over what the client does with the masterpiece.
Okay, and after I have the stencil down that y'all saw, I come back in, and this is a trick that Guy showed me. I keep a large supply of all the different color Sharpie markers. I like Sharpie because they stain the skin so well and it stays there for a while. But if you start your sketch like this example, usually I would do stuff like this in yellow. Because if you start your sketch in yellow, you don't even have to have an outline on there. There's several things he's done on me that you just start with the marker. But by starting with the yellow and laying out your rough design, then you can come back with the next darker in the spectrum. Refine it a little bit more with the orange, and just keep working it up in layers like that. And finally, by the end of it, you know, you may be into purples, browns, or blacks. Sharpie comes in all those colors. I keep all of them because by having that many different colors, it gives you that many chances to layer your work. You know, I just start laying in, look at every different shape, you know, and address that shape and just complete it as a different object and make that piece of that object look right. And you stand back and look at the whole thing, it's just like a big puzzle. You know, it should all read correctly.
Saturday evening, spectators and the daily competition judges gathered to award trophies to the best works of the day. John Kellogg walked away with the first presentation, but Russell Smith wasn't going to be outdone.
The next category is Best Color. Best Color is Russ Smith with work done by Deano Cook out of Psycho Tattoo, Atlanta, Georgia. And second place goes to Sheena with work done by Tim Kern. Tim Kern. All right, let's give a big round of applause. Last but not least, first place tattoo of the day goes to Brad Hubbard with work done by Deano Cook out of Psycho Tattoo, Atlanta, Georgia.
So at the end of Saturday night, it looked like a favored artist was none other than Deano Cook.
Yeah, I'm not complaining.
Sunday morning dawned windy and much colder. The exhibit hall began filling with people as Deano Cook prepared for his first tat of the day. Manu, a tattoo artist from France, was about to collect the autograph of a favored fantasy artist, Boris Vallejo, and Deano would make the autograph permanent. The intimate honor of this request did not escape Boris, as was the case when a similar appeal was made of Julie Bell.
The first time that I saw one of mine, of course I haven't been doing this for that long, just for the last 10 years, but I was at a convention and someone came up and showed me a tattoo that they had of one of my paintings on their arm, and they wanted me to sign it, so then they had my name tattooed on there also. And it was just the most flattering thing that this person would want to walk around for the rest of his life, you know, with my artwork and my name on his body, and it's just a part of, you know, him and who he is. He wanted to express that, and he used my artwork to do that. It made me feel really
That
really
is
good.
really one of the things that, in fact, you know, somebody was saying too, you know, this is something that it doesn't matter where you go, you take with you. You do a painting and it hangs in the wall, you know, or it's in a book or in a magazine or whatever, but the tattoo is something that you carry all over wherever you go and never leaves you. So I think that's really wonderful. It's really a very, very flattering thing, as Julie said.
Well, I guess, you know, even beyond being a fan, which is a really neat thing, it just makes you feel so much that these people really are, you know, we have such a need to express these feelings, and that these people have picked up on that, and that they're using that to express their own feelings. It just feels like such a connection, you know, and it's such a real, it's a communication that's just amazing. You know, it really is real complete kind of feeling.
I mean, what could be better, really, than to realize that what you do, what you put your soul into, it doesn't go unnoticed.
Right, and that they are putting their soul into it and connecting to where your soul is, and so it just, you know, it really just feels like such a great communication.
Oh, it is. It's wonderful.
And that's what art is
Sure.
communication. So.
And these people take so much pride in displaying these things in their bodies. I mean, what could be more so than have it right on your body? It's amazing. It's just great. It's very, very touching.
You can see I still have my reflections down in here that I'd worked out all my theories. I knew where I was headed with this. I had no more questions about that. And then I come in and I use my yellow, and because I've already got my tattoo in here. And by the way, I keep enough Sharpies that I throw them away after every client. So that way I don't worry about the tip being contaminated. But I start putting in my light reflections. They don't have to be yellow. They can be any color. I'm just using a color so that I can visually see it. So when I'm doing my shading, I don't forget and darken a finger that, oh, wow, man, I wish that would have looked like it had light hitting it. You know, it's too late now. Whereas in a painting, you can just go back in and throw some light on it, you know, with whatever color you're using. It just, there again, takes the guesswork out and lets me cruise. Then I start working in all the reflections that I'd laid out with my markers. Being real careful to keep hard edges where it needs to be a hard edge, you know. hard edges on one side of a line. You know, that really will tell the story about things so much more than just about anything else. Just simply looking at a piece and being honest with what your eye is seeing and doing your gradation on the proper side of a line. That makes such a huge difference in the way things read and things looking overlapped and going under things. And it applies to hair too, you know, up in here, getting the hard edges up in here. I mean, we all know it's just a black triangle shape, you know, but it just reads as being hair up under hair, you know.
The art of the tattoo has been around for thousands of years. Archaeologists have found evidence of skin art on some of the earliest mummies discovered, and the French and Spanish explorers of the New World encountered Native American tribes with tattoos as well. During the past 2 decades, not only have health issues and artistic prowess come to the forefront, but the average bearer of a tattoo has changed significantly.
There is a preconceived idea as to who are the people that wear tattoos. But indeed, you know, when you experience the whole scene of the tattoo world, it's really, really interesting to see how not only the people that do the tattoos are the artists, but the people that actually have the tattoos done to them, displaying with pride. They also have a sense of what great artist happens to be. So I think it's wonderful, you know, to see that it's all kind of people. They are not just, as you say, burly, big men, you know, that have the tattoos. They are nice, small, beautiful, gentle women. So it's a big variety of people that really get into that kind of a thing. So it's really nice to see.
This has no highlighting in it yet at all. It's nothing but the blacks, the wash, and some flesh tone, and that's it. Nothing else. Nipples, lips, things like that. I'll dip in my flesh tone and dip it in some cotton candy pink. Not magentas. They wind up being too cartoony. And not reds, because same reason. And by going in that flesh tone first, it kind of mutes the pink even. It subdues it, gives it more of a fleshy, humanly quality, you know. It's not so bright pink. Even if I were doing bright red lipstick on the girl, just because you know it's bright red lipstick, if you go in and do her lips solid bright red, they're going to look so fake and flat and cartoony, even if it's the same exact color as if you were looking at the tube of lipstick. Because once it's applied to a surface and you're looking at it, it no longer is just red anymore. It's got the shape of the surface it's on. Picks up all the shadows. There again, you know, layer that stuff with purple right on top of the red, and it'll give it that rounded, beveled look. You can tell too, this was done not at all with wash or anything, but using her original flesh tone and then using the flesh toner I was using, it creates a suntan effect, you know, tan lines. So that's with nothing but color. And back down to these reflections, you know, wrinkles, things like that. Anytime you put them in the skin, like that one, you got to almost always provide a highlight, an opposing highlight with that line. By doing that, if I had just left that dark line there, it wouldn't read as being a little tight wrinkle, you know. But when you come back under it with that white, then it kind of gives it that, I don't know, indented look. I just did that basically for the zipper. Basically, there's very little black in it. If you saw the zipper before I put the white in, I mean, it looks like I'm using a heavy black in between each little notch, but I'm not. It's a wash line. And then what makes it appear so contrasty like that is that you're working with so many different colors. You've got the black here, you've got the flesh here, and then the white. So you got 3 different colors going on. By the time I come back in and just dot that white in on each little ridge of the zipper, it makes it appear as if there's more contrast between each segment than there really is. There's very little black in there. That's a lesson I kind of learned doing teeth when I first started doing pieces, you know. Get done and it looks like they got rotted teeth because you put too much in between each tooth when it just needed a little insinuation of a separation.
At 2 on Sunday afternoon, the 32 entries in the cash prize award were gathered for a private showing before the judges. 2 hours later, the number had been narrowed to 12 contestants, and the crowd gathered for the final decision. Soon, 3 winners would walk away with $17,500 awarded to the artists that did their work. Not only an unheard-of sum for a competition of this type, but a first-of-its-kind award winner.
Well, the motivation behind it, my first tattoo convention I went to, I took a place in, and the person that entered it walked away with a trophy, and I walked away with knowing I'd done the tattoo. I guess I was supposed to be happy with that, but it set forth, it implanted a seed which grew into what you're seeing now. I feel the artist should get more out of it than just knowing he done that piece.
Our first judge is a tattooer known the world over, a long-time tattooer to the stars of Hollywood. Now residing in the great state of Texas, Mr. Gil Monte. Please, a round of applause for Mr. Gil Monte. Our next judge, a rising star making her mark in the science fiction fantasy art world. With her unique sense of color and dramatic composition, Miss Julie Bell. Please, an applause. And our premier judge, an artist who has been an incredible influence for over 3 decades in and on the science fiction fantasy art world, world-renowned, world-famous, Mr. Boris Vallejo. Please, a round of applause. Contestant number 31, please. So this is contestant number 1, Jungle Jim, with work by Matthew Amey from Independent Tattoo, who won a cash prize award of $2,500. One more round of applause, please. And second place is contestant number 1. Yeah! This is a tattoo with work done by Matthew. This gentleman traveled all the way from Chalon, France. France, please, a big round of applause for Teddy. And our big winner. Contestant number 32 with a $10,000 cash prize.
Of the 3 winners, the first and third prizes went to the same talented artist, Matthew Amey of Delaware. As the crowd dispersed, many of them probably had thoughts of entering in future extreme conventions that are already on the drawing board.
We're here for the next 10 years. Same time, same bat channel. We've been planning this event for 3 years. It took a lot more than what I anticipated. You know, we figured we could get it all together. There's still a couple bugs in it, but next year we'll have it down right.
We think it's great, so we're happy to come back. You know, just
yeah, Wally mentioned that he would like to have us next year, and we are certainly eager to come again.
Next year, it's not for sure, not in stone, but I believe we're going to have H.R. Giger there. So we'll have Giger, Boris Vallejo, and Julie Bell, which is an all-packed package right there.
Whatever bugs Wally had during his first event went virtually unnoticed to the attendants and convention center management. In fact, although no employees would go on camera, all those asked stated that this was the nicest group of conventioneers they'd ever served. This might seem unusual to the average person, but the average person is not aware that this is the Renaissance age of the tattoo, a time when art and artists can communicate with each other to bring out the hidden emotions of the tattoo bearer. To quote the great Gil Monte at Last Call that Sunday night, we put what they feel on the inside on the outside.